Well, some good news yesterday with the announcement of a coronavirus vaccine from Pfizer getting good results in trials. Then followed by news that the FDA is allowing emergency use of the first antibody drug to fight COVID-19. Joining us now to put this into perspective is Thomas Duzinski, Director of Epidemiology Education at IUPUI. Professor Duzinski, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this. First, the news about the Pfizer vaccine. What does this mean when we get to this point and the trials show it's 90% effective, but testing isn't quite done yet? How likely is it that this vaccine will be effective and good?
Well, this is really good news. I mean, this is kind of exceeding some of the expectations of a vaccine for this novel virus. So 90% effective is really high in terms of efficacy for vaccines. It ranks up there with measles and some of the other vaccines that we get as children. So I think it's a good vaccine candidate at this point, but Pfizer is still doing what it needs to do, right? It's taking its time to ensure the vaccine is safe and effective by finishing out these clinical trials. Now, what they do is release results early to hope to kind of show that they are working very diligently at this and to give us some good news about a vaccine for this virus.
So if it is approved, walk us through that process. How soon will people be able to get it, and who will get it first?
Sure. That's a little bit more complicated to answer because we still have to finish phase 3 of the clinical trial, right? This is 40-some thousand individuals that have either gotten the actual vaccine or a placebo, and they're still evaluating those results. But early indications show this is a very viable candidate for a vaccine. Once those clinical trials are completed, the FDA has to review all that information to ensure that it is safe and effective for the public, and then it can be released to the public. Now, those offer some logistical challenges, right? We have to produce enough vaccine to distribute to the population. In Indiana, I know the State Department of Health has prepared a COVID vaccination plan for distribution, indicating that healthcare workers and those I think 65 years of age and older with comorbid conditions are going to be those high on the list to receive the vaccine first. From there, I believe it trickles down to essential workers and then to the general population.
So there are two parts of this vaccine too. Does that create any more of a problem as far as that distribution goes and manufacture?
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to produce twice as much at that point, right, as opposed to a single-dose vaccine. The other challenge that this produces is that it takes a little bit longer for what we know as seroconversion, that time from getting the vaccine until you're fully protected. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking, I got my vaccine today, therefore I'm fully protected today. And that's not how it works, right? It takes time for your body to produce the antibodies in sufficient quantities to protect you from infection. In this case, they're requiring 2 doses. So after you begin the regimen, right, you get dose 1, and about 2 to 3 weeks later, you get dose 2. At about day 28, after you got the first dose, you have immunity to the virus, is what it's showing.
So if this does get approved, should people feel safe in taking this drug? Because I know there's some folks out there right now already saying they're not going to take it.
Sure, absolutely. Yes, you should feel safe, right? That these are independent companies. All the data is reviewed by not only the FDA, but outside agencies or outside peer reviewers, right? Scientists basically looking at the data to ensure that it is safe and effective. And to be honest, no company would release a vaccine that isn't safe and effective. It wouldn't be in their best interest to do so.
And if it is approved, let me ask you this, considering, you know, all of the distribution and who needs to get it first, how soon, if this is a viable vaccine, how soon do you foresee us being able to get things back to normal? That's a big question, I know.
Oh, that's a huge question. So a lot of it's going to depend on what's happening, not only with this vaccine, but with others that are in the pipeline. This isn't the only vaccine out there that's undergoing phase 3 clinical trials. It's the first one that I've seen releasing some of its results early, which is really good news. So it's a matter of how much vaccine can we produce, how many people are going to be vaccinated, and then produce an immune response to really create what we've been hearing about, a herd immunity. We've never really achieved herd immunity outside of a vaccine. So having this vaccine will help us get there faster and protect a large portion of our population.
Okay. Well, there's a lot to talk about. We didn't even get to the Eli Lilly antibody drug, but we're out of time, and I apologize about that. Hopefully we can talk to you again about all of this soon. Thank you so much, Professor Dzinski from IUPUI, talking to us today about this. We appreciate it.